Hey guys, it's MegaMogwai64 and today we're going to be doing another Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire Wi-Fi battle. Today, I managed to get an awesome Wi-Fi battle against MegaMogwai. He's a really awesome YouTuber, highly recommend you check him out. I really enjoy his videos, so his channel will be in the description if you haven't seen him yet. But other than that, let's just get into team preview. Looking at my team to his, Excadrill destroys my team, for one. Once Landorus T gets weakened, my Sans check, so I really need to be careful of that. Also, his Superior does a hell of a lot of work towards my team. If my Talonflame goes down, it just beats my team because I am running a Specs Keldeo over Scarf, so nothing could even do anything to it, because if he's running HP Fire, then it kills my Scizor and it murders everything else with Dragon Pulse, Leaf Storm, etc. So I really need to be careful of that. Latias can deal with it to an extent, but if it gets off too many Leaf Storms, I'll die to a Dragon Pulse, so that's something I need to be careful of. Also, looking at his team, my Scizor does a lot of work to his team because he doesn't have anything for my sets. I'm running offensive Scizor, so offensive Scizor just plows through his team, kills his Mega Aggron at around 50%, kills his Excadrill if it gets weakened with Bullet Punch after +2, of course, but it basically destroys his team. It beats Latios, if it's not running HP Fire, beats Sylveon. It's a huge threat to his team. So luckily for me, it is offensive Scizor. I'm running super power and a lot of speed, so I could deal with his Mega Aggron, so that's really nice for me in this matchup. And other than that, I need to keep Talonflame or else I just lose to his Superior once again. And other than that, it seems to be a fairly even matchup, so let's just get straight into it. So he's going to end up leading off with his Mega Aggron. This is fine by me because I just want to get off my rocks. I could have gone for Earthquake here and just gotten off a bunch of damage, so Scizor could have potentially do something later in the game, but I just decided to go for rocks, wear down his team. So we're just going to exchange rocks here, just a basic first turn. But basically once his Aggron gets weakened, Mega Scizor cleans up. So that's my main objective, just to weaken this thing and Excadrill, sorry. So basically, I expected him to switch out here, so I'm going to go for the U-turn, but he doesn't have him switching out. I guess he didn't mind taking the Earthquake damage. Well, that would have been really nice for me. It didn't really matter, because now I could just go out into my Keldeo, take whatever he wants to go for, and he ends up revealing the Avalanche, which is kind of good, because I didn't want to take that anyways, because I need my Landorus for his Excadrill to stop Sand Offense. So here he's going to go out into his Latios. I could have gone for the Icy Wind, but it's still too early in the game to overpredict. I could have, but I didn't see the points. I also have Surf over Scald because I misgened that, so that's my bad. But I'm just going to go into my Clefable, a safe switch really, because I could take 2 of whatever he wants to go for guaranteed. So he's going to switch out into his Cooper, his Mega Aggron. I'm just going to do the safe play, go for the Flamethrower. There's no way he's going to stay in unless he's Calm Mind, which would have put me into an awful position. But luckily he wasn't. If he was, I would have just been forced to Moonblast and end up having to sack something, because I have nothing for Calm Mind Latios. But he didn't end up being Calm Mind Latios, so luckily that's fine by me. I'm just going to go into my Landorus to get a attack drop, and he gets a crit. That's a huge crit, because now his Excadrill just became a huge threat. He could have predicted me and go for the Avalanche, but he didn't. I was planning on just taking that Heavy Slam easily and then U-turning out into my Keldeo once again to get momentum. But now I'm just going to stay with the same plan and go for the U-turn. But since he goes out into his Sylveon, this basically allows me to go out into my Scizor. And this is the fun part for me. Name of switch-in. He has not a single switch-in. So I'm going to Mega Evolve right here. Mega Scizor coming through. He's going to set up a nice ST here because he has no switch-in, so I'm being a little bit greedy here, but I'm not expecting him to stay in is what I mean, and he ends up going for the Wish, which tells me, well, one, he's not going to stay in and just waste the Wish, so I'm expecting Mega Aggron, him hoping for me to not have superpower, and you guys are about to see this Mega Aggron, this annoying bulky Pokemon, just gets destroyed. So huge threat to my team. Took him down very early in the game, which is so nice for me. If he didn't take that Flamethrower, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So luckily for me, I end up taking out his aggro, but he's going to go into his Excadrill. And once again, no switches now that Landorus is weakened. But I play really bad in my opinion around this. I give him the Intimidate, and now expecting him to go for the Rock Slide / Iron Head, not to double EQ. I'm going to go out into my Keldeo. Now, I want to keep Intimidate / Fodder for later in the game, but I still feel like that was a little bit risky since what's his name, Keldeo is so useful in this matchup. It can dent so many Pokemon on this team. While if that's Scarf Tyranitar, I can take a hit unless I get weakened, which I'm allowing myself to do. But here he goes out into his Latios. I'm just going to go for the safe Icy Wind, because if I Icy Wind the Excadrill, it brings him with Life Orb to the point where I could revenge kill him with something else much easier, so I don't mind just going for the safe Icy Wind. If he goes out into Sylveon, I have Scizor, so I felt like that was my best play. Now, I spent like a minute on that play thinking if I should Icy Wind again, seeing if he would go out into Sylveon the next turn, or Tyranitar, but he ends up going out into Tyranitar. Now, this is really nice for me, because what this means is I can go out into my Clefable, and, well, that damage I got onto his Tyranitar could be a factor later in the game, because I'm Choice Banded Talonflame, so if his Tyranitar gets weakened, I may be able to knock it out and end up cleaning up with that. But since rocks are up, I have to be very careful with it to not come in too often, so I need to save it for his Superior, so I'm not going to be playing recklessly with him at all. But here I could go back out into Keldeo because of the speed drop. I could go safely for the Secret Sword. It KOs everything on his team up until this point, except for his Sylveon, which if he went to once again free switch it to Scizor. Because Sand is up, I have the special defense boost, and he ends up making a bad play, sacking off his Superior in his video, which I'll link in the description. After he clicked the move, he realized this huge mistake, and it was really huge. It cost him, because my only Pokemon to beat his Superior is Talonflame. The rest of them will lose to it, so luckily for me, he makes that bad play. And here I'm just going to sack his Landorus. I was considering staying in just to show him I predicted that him going for Roost, going for the Secret Sword, doing a little bit less than half, but there's no point to do that, especially since Sans ends the next turn anyways, so no point to be flashy, just might as well sack Landorus, my best play. And now I can go out into Scizor. I did a calc just to make sure it should, at this level, it should always KO his Latios unless he is running HP, but he is not, so luckily that's gonna knock him out. I believe in his video he actually said he was hasty, so that's a factor as well. So here he's gonna go out into his Excadrill. I don't want my Scizor to get weakened, so it could just come in on his Sylveon later in the game. Like, it beats his Sylveon and his Tyranitar, so I have no reason to allow it to get a potential crit or weaken my Scizor. But here I'm just gonna go for the Draco Meteor. I went for the Draco Meteor on his Excadrill just because he's either going to go out into his Sylveon or Tyranitar. If he goes out into Sylveon, I go for Defog the next turn and let my Latias die. If he goes out into Tyranitar, I launch a Draco Meteor, and he loses his Tyranitar, and it allows my Talonflame to do work a little bit later. So either way, that was my thought process, and either way it ends up working out, because he couldn't let his Excadrill get weakened, or else I come in with the Bird or Scizor and knock it out later in the match. So he had no choice but to go out into Sylveon or Tyranitar there, and he was basically cornered at that point. So now I'm just going to sack off my Keldeo. As it's the weakest link, it loses both of his remaining Pokemon since Sand is up. So that's what I'm going to do. Now I'm just going to go into my Talonflame and basically get off a Choice Banded Bravebird. And I actually get a crit here. Now, this doesn't matter at all, but I would have sacked Latias first, and it would have been a 1-0 instead of what it's going to be now. So it's unfortunate, but it didn't change the game's ending at all. So I'm just going to weaken his Excadrill, and then I sack Latias, and then Scizor would have come in and Bullet Punch for the win. But that's not what ended up happening because of that crit, and now I could go into Scizor now and go for the safe 2 Bullet Punches. He could Wish Stall or something for fun, but he's gonna go for the Hyper Voice, and that's gonna be the game. So basically, Scizor is gonna be coming through here in the end. This is my Mega Scizor offense team that I made a while ago. So It's doing really well, so it's just gonna knock out Sylveon, Sophie. That's pretty much the game, so leave a like if you enjoyed this video, subscribe if you want to see more content, don't forget to check out McGill's channel, and yeah, and his perspective on this battle, which will both will be in the description. He's a really amazing YouTuber, so that's pretty much it, and I'll see you guys later.